Liberal Party was elected on a platform investing $20 billion over the next 10 years in social infrastructure, which includes affordable childcare. And
that video is 2016, so it's already been 8 years. So let's go back and look at the promises that Trudeau has made over the years and how they have not happened. And recent news has come out, particularly with the childcare, that there are 276,000 slots that were available, and it's a fraction that actually got used out of 30 billion. Let's go back and look at the 8 years and the promises that he has made and have a look in retrospect of what he has said, what has not come true, and all the amazing things that used to come up that not many people paid attention to. So let's go through every time he said it in the last 8 years, a year at a time. Let's have a look.
The Liberal Party was elected on a platform investing $20 billion over the next 10 years in social infrastructure, which includes social housing, seniors housing, and affordable childcare. And that approach is what exactly we're going to be put forward in the budget. But it's interesting to me that the member opposite would be talking about that, because right now, if he were government, he would be busy trying to figure out how to cut $18 billion of spending from this government so he could balance the books at every cost, which was the commitment that the NDP made in the election.
The NDP was strong. I can see why they voted for them in the first place, because they did actually have a very good opinion at that time. And that's something that you don't really see at all, zero, with Jagmeet Singh. And also the fact of the fear is that tax cuts will happen because of the enormous spending, and the fear just freaks everyone out, and Trudeau does that forever. Let's continue.
The honourable member for Outremont.
Of the Liberals was for a national childcare program within the first 100 days, and as we've just seen, that's another broken promise.
We're talking the first 100 days of 2015 when Trudeau got in, and he's already saying, the NDP leader, that it's a failure at that time. Now we're talking 8 years later, and we find out it's a fraction of the 30 billion people, $30 billion they spent. It's a fraction. Wow. Let's keep going.
Comments to make on that in the weeks to come, especially with the tabling of the budget. The honourable member for Outremont.
Yesterday's motion contained 3 Liberal promises, and they voted against it. Internal documents reveal the government gave a secret sweetheart deal to multi-millionaire tax cheats, with no penalties and even a discount on the interest. Once again, we see there are 2 sets of rules, one for the wealthy and another one for everyone else. How many other times has this happened? And is the Prime Minister going to call an investigation into this tax scam for the rich?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We're, of course, engaged with CRA on the issues brought forward. It is a concern to us that all Canadians pay their fair share of taxes, and we will ensure that that continues to be the case in the future. What decisions made under a previous government, if they're erroneous, we'll look into them for sure.
The honourable member for Outremont.
The problem is, as this case illustrates, it is not the case that the rich are paying their fair share, and they are let off the hook by the Canada Revenue Agency. So the question was, is the Prime Minister going to order an investigation to figure out how this happened? He can't hide behind the fact that it was a previous administration. Canadians have a right to know that the tax system is equal for all Canadians. This case proves just the opposite. One set of rules for the rich and another for everyone else. What is the Prime Minister going to do about investigating this case so that Canadians know that there's tax fairness in this country? Stop protecting the risk. Stop protecting a tax system that's fair for all.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
One of the things at the heart of the campaign that led to us forming government was the idea that the previous government had successively given advantages and tax breaks to the wealthiest Canadians and not to middle class and those folks working hard to join the middle class. That's why we stood against the child benefit scheme that the previous government had put forward that was benefiting the wealthiest and not those who needed it the most. That's why we're looking forward to turning around, and it was disappointing to us to see that the NDP sided with the government in giving child benefits to millionaire families when it was other folks who needed it more. That's what we're going to do, and that's what we're elected to do.
The honourable member for Portage Lisgar.
Isn't it amazing that that long ago, 8 years ago, even the NDP guy knew there's rules for me and rules for thee. He knew that in 2016 he could see that coming. And Trudeau blaming the previous government, even the NDP, Tom McClare said you can't blame the previous government for something that you just did. Like, all this stuff has just never gone away. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this 2016, but you're just going back to it after 8 years, you just see the BS coming out of Trudeau. Let's have a look at 2017 now.
Mr. Speaker, we agree on the need for childcare. That's why we're moving forward with a $7 billion investment in childcare right across the country. We recognize provincial jurisdiction in this area, but we also know that the federal government has a role to play, and that's one we are happy to play. But on top of that, we move forward with the Canada Child Benefit that is putting more money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 Canadian families and lifting hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty. This is something we will continue to work on because we recognize how investing in children's future now makes life better for families and for communities.
Honourable member for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam.
Mr. Speaker, the opioid crisis is a national public health crisis that is devastating individuals, families, and communities across this country. At the beginning of September, the governments of Canada and British Columbia.
Back in 2018, a whopping $7 billion was earmarked for the child care program, only for us to discover 8 years down the line that the actual outcome is a mere shadow of the initial promise. It seems our Prime Minister has a penchant for dancing over the delicate lines of provincial jurisdiction. Could this be a tactical maneuver influenced by dissatisfaction with provincial electoral choices, or perhaps an ambitious attempt to imprint federal ideologies across the provinces? And then there's the claim that these efforts are hoisting 9 out of 10 families out of poverty, supposedly elevating thousands from financial despair. But one has to wonder about the real numbers behind these bold statements. Given past discrepancies between stated poverty figures and harsh reality, skepticism seems only natural. The gap could well be in the millions, a startling deviation from the official narrative. As much as I'd love to dive into the developments post-2019, it appears to be a rehash of the same old script. However, the carbon tax and the Paris Agreement saga do spark curiosity, revealing a significant gap between lofty promises and tangible outcomes over the past 8 years. Maybe that deserves a closer look in another video. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed the dive into these intriguing waters, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. Stay tuned for the next exploration.